Welcome back to the Book in Minutes.
Okay, let's unpack this. We're diving into some really fascinating source material today. Stuff that really challenges how many of us think about work, security.
And what actually builds financial well-being long-term.
Yeah, absolutely. And this material, it sets up a pretty fundamental tension, doesn't it?
It really does.
Yeah.
It pushes you to ask, okay, is the smart move chasing that secure job, the steady income?
Right. Or is it actually wiser to focus on learning, getting valuable skills?
Even if that means maybe less stability or lower pay right at the start.
Exactly. And one of the really intriguing things the sources bring up is why so many, smart, talented, highly educated people
Still struggle financially.
Yeah, it suggests it's not about intelligence, not about their technical skill necessarily.
But a gap in, well, other kinds of skills.
Which feels totally counterintuitive. You think talent, good education, that's the ticket.
Right.
So our mission today really is to dig deep into these different viewpoints from the sources.
Pull out the key ideas, the big takeaways.
And hopefully help you, the listener, look at your own career, what you're learning, maybe through a slightly different lens.
Think of it as a guided tour through these contrasting perspectives in the material.
Perfect. So let's start at the foundation then. That core comparison the sources make.
The job security focus versus the learning focus.
Yeah. The material presents them as almost like two different life philosophies, two different approaches to your career.
They really do. One path is all about stability. The consistent paycheck is the main goal.
But the other view, the one really championed in the sources,
Argues that the real asset, the thing that gives you true long-term security, is constantly learning, acquiring skills.
and the material introduces that really striking, almost blunt acronym for JOB, J-O-B.
Yes. Just overbroke.
It paints this picture, doesn't it? A job just keeps you afloat, covers the bills.
But doesn't necessarily build real wealth or give you freedom down the line, which leads into that rat race idea.
Or the hamster wheel analogy they use, that feeling of just running flat out.
Working furiously, yeah. Just to pay bills, stay in the same place.
You're putting in huge effort, but you're essentially spinning your wheels inside the same system.
Not really changing direction or building anything with leverage.
And the sources really push that long-term view, don't they? Prioritizing skill building over just the immediate paycheck.
Emphasizing that that's the path to genuine financial growth, flexibility. It frames learning as a crucial investment.
Not just personal development, but like an investment in your future earning capacity.
The analogy they use is pretty good. Learning a new skill is like going to the gym.
Ah, right. That initial decision, getting started, overcoming inertia, that's the hard part.
Exactly. But the actual activity, the learning, the practice, and the result over time, that's where the reward is.
It highlights that the upfront effort pays off, like compoundingly.
So if learning is the core asset, the sources make a really compelling point about what skills are often missing.
Right, even among really bright, educated people, it's often not their core expertise.
Exactly. The sources suggest the struggle often comes not from what they know in their specialty.
But what they don't know about how business works. Business systems.
And there's that powerful phrase in the material, being one skill away from great wealth.
Yeah, that's quite a statement.
It implies the main barrier for many isn't potential or effort, but a specific missing piece.
And according to the sources, that piece is often understanding business systems, specifically selling, delivering value effectively.
Right. It's not just about making the thing or doing the service.
You need to know how to get it out there, make the whole process work economically.
So the sources really highlight sales and marketing skills. They call them crucial specialized skills.
For almost everyone, it seems, regardless of their field.
And they break that down, right?
Yeah.
Includes communication, writing, speaking, negotiation.
And importantly, handling the fear of rejection, which is huge in sales.
Absolutely. It's about effectively communicating value and, well, persuading people.
The examples in the material make this so clear, like the talented writer.
Brilliant with words, but couldn't become a best-selling author until she learned sales and marketing.
Because being best-selling, as the sources point out, is about selling.
Not just writing. They make that distinction, best writing versus best-selling. Very different things.
And what about skilled professionals? Doctors, mechanics?
Yeah, the sources say they can be amazing technically, but still struggle financially if they lack business sense.
Running the practice, running the shop. That's a business.
If they don't get cash flow, marketing, managing people, managing systems, their potential is capped.
But the sources use that great comparison, someone who makes a better hamburger than McDonald's.
Ah, yes. Love that one. You might make the best burger ever.
But McDonald's makes billions. Why?
Because McDonald's mastered the business system for selling and delivering a consistent, average hamburger everywhere.
Their genius isn't the burger itself, it's the system.
It totally underscores that building and managing the whole system, sales, marketing, operations, delivery, that's often where the big financial rewards are.
Much more than just perfecting one part of it.
And there's that other example, the artist who lost his inheritance.
Right, on advertising, because he didn't understand direct marketing.
Fantastic artist, amazing hamburger, but totally missed the knowledge on how to sell the art effectively.
And blame the ad agencies, the sources say.
Instead of seeing his own knowledge gap in the business of selling his work, it's a critical distinction.
These examples just drive it home. Technical skill is necessary, but maybe not sufficient.
Understanding the business side, those systems skill, the sources frame them as absolutely essential.
It shifts your thinking from just, I'm good at X,
to how does X actually get valued and delivered in the market, and do I get that process?
Okay, so this focus on the system leads right into another key point in the sources.
The whole specialization versus broad understanding thing.
Yeah. Traditional education, it pushes us towards specialization, right? Knowing more and more about less and less.
That's the usual path. Become the deep expert in one specific niche.
But the sources argue this approach. Well, it can have real downsides long term.
They suggest over-specialization can actually make you vulnerable, dependent.
Dependent on one industry or one very specific skill set. If things change,
your deep expertise might not transfer easily. You could be left exposed.
And the sources connect this vulnerability from their perspective to why specialists sometimes need protection, like unions.
Right. They mention the educated dad becoming a union head after feeling vulnerable professionally.
While the rich dad figure worked to keep his companies non-unionized. And the sources are clear, they're not taking sides.
Just observing that from that viewpoint, if you specialize heavily, like school tells you to,
then maybe seeking union protection is the logical move because your skills aren't easily transferable outside that box.
It's presented as a consequence of that intense specialization.
So the alternative perspective pushed in the sources.
It's about knowing a little about a lot, gaining that broad understanding.
Understanding how different parts of the business system work together.
And they describe how successful individuals or companies developing talent often rotate people.
Right, through accounting, sales, marketing, operations.
So they grasp the whole picture, how the entire system functions, not just one silo.
And the material boils down the key management skills needed for this broader view.
Yeah, 3 core things. Management of cash flow.
Management of systems.
And management of people.
Those are presented as like the fundamental competencies for running or understanding a business effectively.
Complementing whatever technical skill you have.
Okay, shifting gears slightly from skills and systems to mindset.
Yeah.
The sources also talk about giving and receiving money.
Yes, they contrast 2 approaches pretty starkly.
There's the idea you have to give first to receive, give, and you shall receive.
Versus the common idea of waiting until you have extra money before you give.
Which the sources argue means most people never give because there's never really extra. It's always accounted for.
And the material presents giving as like a core principle practiced by wealthy families. They mention big foundations.
Right, designed for ongoing giving alongside wealth creation. It's shown as part of their whole approach.
It's framed as fundamental to how they think about wealth and its circulation.
The sources also zoom out a bit, touching on bigger picture financial concerns.
Yeah, like the shift from pensions to riskier 401ks, putting more retirement burden on individuals.
They even hint at potential links between wealth and access to things like healthcare.
And they tie these larger issues back to the need for personal financial intelligence, understanding the systems we're in.
It really reinforces their main point. Just relying on a job, even a good one, might not be enough anymore.
True security, real opportunity. They argue it comes from building your financial know-how, your skill set, beyond just your job description.
Which loops right back to you, the listener. The sources are really pushing you to look at your career path differently.
Not just the title, not just the paycheck, but what are you learning? What skills are you actively gaining?
It's about asking that question the material poses. Where is this daily activity really taking me?
Are the skills I'm building actually increasing my long-term options? My security?
Or could they potentially be trapping me in a niche that might become vulnerable?
So after this whole deep dive, what's the main takeaway? The big idea?
I think the core message is pretty clear. Your most valuable asset isn't really the job.
It's the skills you keep acquiring, especially skills related to understanding and navigating business systems.
And that making strategic choices about work, maybe choosing based on learning potential, even if the pay isn't top dollar right now.
That can pay off hugely down the road. In terms of security, flexibility, opportunity, it's a whole different mindset.
Viewing your career as a continuous learning investment, maybe.
Exactly. Building resilience, building the ability to create value in different ways.
Instead of being totally reliant on just one skill or one industry.
Which makes total sense when you think back to those examples, like the writer or the burger maker.
Okay, so here's a final thought for you to chew on, something directly inspired by the perspective in these sources.
Take a moment. Think about your own skills. Beyond your technical expertise, what you're already good at.
What crucial business or communication skill might you be just one skill away from getting?
Could learning that one thing, maybe sales, maybe marketing, negotiation, understanding cash flow, could that fundamentally change your financial path? What's the next step on your personal learning plan? Something to think about.